All right, welcome back. Sorry, LinkedIn cuts us off at 15 minutes, so we gotta do what we gotta do. Plus, I don't really think that one video should ramble on that long. If you really care that much, you tune back in for this one. So hey,
That's right. That's right.
if it's okay, Zach, I really wanted to pick up. I have something that I think we wanted to touch on as we
Go ahead.
put them off there. I, we were talking about all of these components in the supply chain and things that happen, and you may hear a term like capacity. Before we hit record, we were talking about something that I want you to expound upon. But the term capacity and what that means is like the physical space on how you ship things. So when we're referring to technology, I think, I don't know what this is, 90% of it is made and manufactured overseas. So you're talking about physical container space, like the space within that container, and even the containers themselves. So much so that Zach was sharing with me a little insight just on basically a business that was founded, started, or grew upon as a result of that demand itself. So, Zach, I'll pass it to you to kind of share, but I thought it was a very interesting piece that tied over to understanding what capacity means, especially in this space. Capacity can mean a lot of things in transportation, but for what we're talking about, it's containers on ships.
Yeah. So kind of what we're seeing is a lot of the parts are made overseas and then assembled in the U.S.
Sure.
It's kind of a tale as old as time. It says made in USA. Yes, it was assembled in USA. I can bore. We can get around. Tax pieces, whatever. Just doing that. So you're getting maybe 3 pallets. Again, just pick arbitrary number here of processors that come in. They get off the boat in probably Long Beach or LA in California. They go to a warehouse, then they leave that warehouse, and that goes to whether it's a Dell or an HP or a Lenovo or whatever factory that assembles it. But at each stage, there is a capacity issue. So, maybe the boat is only big enough to hold 2,000 of these containers. They're the big ones you see that say Maersk or, Costco or whatever going down the road. They're all standard sized. So when it gets to port, big crane comes, takes it off, throws it on a trailer that is specifically designed to handle those. That trailer is then taken usually to a warehouse where it is offloaded. And then, somebody else's truck comes and picks it up and takes it to the manufacturer.
Yeah, depending on the size, if they own the whole container, most of the times it has to be pieced out. So,
Exactly.
hey, you have half the container, I have half the container, right? Because you're talking about microchips, for example, right? Or let's just say, or a processor.
Sure.
This big, right? So
Yeah,
what does 10 pallets of that be able to produce down the line?
exactly.
There could be even another step in that. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
But no, you're exactly right. But that's just kind of the lay breakdown on how that works coming through supply chain. So, what you're seeing right now is the cost to send that container, usually from Asia to the US is so great right now that these companies are making more by sending that container back to Asia as opposed to sending it to the US to distribute. So we're getting things coming in. You're seeing news articles and news reports about there may be 70 ships sitting outside of a port and they can't get them in because we don't have the containers, we don't have the trucks, we don't have manpower.
I was going to say labor is probably the biggest one right now
Yes.
with a lot of the employment shortages.
Exactly. So, you're not able to move those things as efficiently inland so that they can get to the appropriate places. So that's where you're seeing a big bottleneck too. But basically these shipping companies are making hand over fist by sending the empty containers back to Asia to get more because it's costing so much in freight fees to get it from Asia back to the US. They just make more money doing that than they do taking it from the warehouse in the US to the manufacturer.
Well, because it's a vicious cycle, right? So they just got their product in the container. Now they have the container. And now it's like, who's got the highest bid? Because we're already seeing such a delay that by the time they need the container back to get the current product there, the price has already increased so much so. And it just becomes this snowball effect that's crazy. And, as we talk about employment too, like in the supply chain, we don't have automation yet. I know that we've talked about autonomous cars, autonomous vehicles, autonomous boats, but physical people still do all this. We may have like Amazon, you may see some of those fancy automated forklifts.
Mhm.
But I can assure you at the dock in LA or at the dock in Jersey or at the dock in Miami, these places do not run, they're not running on automated
No,
forklifts. They are physical people moving product around. And so when you add the component too of the employment shortage, which is just across the board, I think everybody can see that, hear that. If you're a business owner, if you're an employee, if you're just a person going to McDonald's, you see this problem. So you can just see how that gets extrapolated out over this whole supply chain situation. So it's becoming very, very, like I said, that snowball is getting bigger and bigger. And like we said, what are some of the new delays, Zach, that you're having to hear when you talk to the manufacturers and the vendors?
the newest one that we've heard about, and granted, this is small, we may be talking about a delay of 3, 4, 5 days, but that adds up, when you've already waited 20 weeks for something, now you're getting close to 21. Hey, that still adds up.
Yeah, no, I almost meant like if you bought something today. I mean, like, what if you had to buy a new product? Have you gotten any of that information by chance?
If we bought a new product today,
Yeah, like if a client said, "Hey, Zach, I need a laptop," right? Let's just use that. Excuse me. Let's just use that example again.
sure. It really depends. Again, I know that's the cop out answer, but for just a standard business laptop, I would say maybe 10 to 14 days if you hit the cycle right. The Dells and Lenovo's and HPs and whoever in that space that you're looking at, Apple even, they will usually, you'll see if you watch stock levels, one day they'll have 10,000 of some laptop. Give it 2.5 weeks and they've only got 38 left in stock. And we don't know if that next shipment of power management chips or whatever screen minerals that need to be put in, we don't know if that's here yet or not. So you may see, you could get it in 3 days if they've got it in stock, but once you get past that threshold, you may be waiting 8, 9 weeks. So it's really cyclical right now, and we're not used to that. We're used to having just readily available stock.
Well, and so I think, so we talk about tech a lot, specific to this conversation within shipping. But one thing you've got to be clear on is like, you may be wrapping your head around what is even, if you had a full container of laptops, that's probably 10,000. I would probably argue maybe more than 10,000 laptops would fit in a container. Just to kind of think about this for 1 second, that's not who you're competing against. The ship is not full of laptops, right? And in most cases, a lot of technology, Zach, to be honest, a lot of it may not even be on the ship if it's fully developed, because that's just too risky for them. But that's when you start to see very high prices, because now you're flying things. But what I want, one thing that you have to keep in mind, especially as we're talking about shipping as a whole here, is the raw materials. You mentioned the minerals, those type of things. That may even still be small, because how many minerals are used to make a computer? Well, yes, I think they say there's something like, I don't know, $50 of silver in every iPhone. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that, right? The part that I want to talk about is like iron ore or steel or ingots, or these things that you're talking about, but people buying 20,000, 30,000 containers a month of shipping, taking up full ships, right? And that's just for steel. How expensive is a bar of steel, right? In comparison to laptops and computers and servers and these chips that are making a $50,000 Forerunner work, for example, right? The chip within that, the computer within that.
Sure.
Those things you're saying, are competing within that same space. And when you're trying to negotiate 10 containers in comparison to 10,000, who's going to get left behind, and where's the cost going to get absorbed? Because I can assure you that they're going to spread that out over all that volume. You're going to get lost within those 2-3 containers.
The Amazons, the Apples, the Nikes, name Fortune 100 company, whichever one that deals in consumer goods. Well, they have bargaining power and leverage when it comes to buying these things. They're going to say, hey, look, we're going to use 10,000 containers this month, and we get better pricing there. So you, Joe Blow, who needs 2 containers, sorry, don't have it.
Yeah.
I've got it committed to Amazon. you know,
And they're
and
trying to find the sourcing for Amazon that's already paid.
exactly. And what you may even see is, okay, maybe you're lucky and you get one of these containers on a ship and you've got your warehouse in, you know, Rialto or wherever you are in California, Riverside, whatever, where you see one of these things. And so they now take it over there. They used to leave the shipping container full of your product at the warehouse. Next truck comes to pick it up. Pretty simple. Well, now that shipping container's 5 times more valuable than what it was. Okay, well, we're going to offload all the product, take the empty, send it on the boat back over to Asia, and we can, you know, triple our money by doing so. Well, now, yes, your product's here, it's sitting in California, but you've got to go find a shipping container to truck that across the country or to your plant or, you know, to one of your vendors or what have you. How are you going to find that shipping container? And it's just adding, you know, it used to be here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. Now it's going, here's 1, here's 1A, now move to 2, here's 2A, and everything's, you're almost doubling effort in trying to find these things if those things happen to you. And one of the big things right now, at least in the tech world, is, you know, you hear a lot about rare earth metals. Like you said, there's $50 worth of silver in every iPhone. I don't know the exact numbers on
Yeah,
that.
I don't know exactly where either.
Tim Cook could probably tell you that, but not me.
I'm sure it'd be jaded answer. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Probably, but you know, the rare earth metals, those are used in computer monitors,
Correct.
computer screens. And the biggest producer of rare earth metals is China. And right now, as of about 4 or 5 days ago, I guess at least it finally broke in the news, China is starting to have rolling blackouts. They're shutting down facilities. Number one, to kind of curb carbon emissions, which is good on them. Appreciate that. But when they do that, it shuts down a factory for a week. And shuts down a factory for a week. Well, guess what? They're now a week behind. Your 20 weeks where wait time just went to 21. And let's hope that, you know, when that facility gets up and it moves to the next facility in southern China from northern China, that it's not on its rolling blackout. And okay, that's where you're starting to see things are going to continue to creep up, and there's not a short-term fix for this. This is going to continue for a long time.
No, not to be cyclical. I don't even think that a China week of manufacturing is a week in our terms at all. I think it would be more like a month when you try to extrapolate out just how much harder they work, how much more
efficiencies,
and everything else that takes place. I mean, there's a reason why we manufacture in China, right?
Sure.
So I really do think that it's more like a week their time is probably like a quadrupled output. To us, I mean, I would think so. Just how that domino would fall. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where it's going to take a while to get back, because what'll happen is you're going to have to see more containers being made, more trucks being made, more ships being made. But if we have a shipping shortage to begin with, how do you get products to make those things to help make shipping faster and better? So, you know, it's really a tough situation here. And yet again, Zach, these 15 minutes are constraining us here, but we got about another minute here. So as we start to wrap up, yet again, I think the same message holds over from my end. You know, be proactive on what you're doing. I would hate to have to advise a client, you know, they're in a bad situation to get a laptop for an employee or a piece of equipment for an employee. They have to use something personal and it causes a security issue, right? So think bigger, think outside the box when it comes to just getting a laptop or just getting this piece of hardware. Think about how it can affect your business if that's the situation you're in. And personally, you know, think how it could affect Christmas, or think how it could affect the holiday, think how it could affect that loved one. So, you know, anyway,
it's
ahead of the curve there.
The one piece of advice I would give any of my clients is have the appropriate expectation going into it. Things are not going to be, you know, $600 like you used to see. Things are not going to be there by Thursday of this week. You may be paying double or even triple what you were, and it's going to take, you know, 2-3 times as long potentially. So just set the appropriate expectation in your mind and try your best to prepare for that. If you do those things, you can probably weather the storm.
Yeah, I'd agree. Okay, well, thank you yet again. Be safe. We'll have some new stuff for you next week.
Sounds good. We'll see you soon, Dario. Y'all stay safe out there.
Thank you. You too. Bye.